Corey Sparks.
For Marshall against Johnson Crick. We're going to go with that, I guess.
And Wally Lukaczynski.
Enjoy the fake-tainted national title, you scumbags.
Covering everything from the green and gold to pro, college, and high school sports around South Central Wisconsin. Broadcasting live from the Daily Dodge TV studios. This is the Damn Sports Show on Daily Dodge TV and 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam.
Yeah, I know we've been saying it. We have to change that open.
Well, see, no, now it's getting to the point. Well, here
it's
now getting to the point where I want to wait until after the playoff is over.
New year, new you, new open, new show.
No, and I agree, and I do think it has to
new beginnings.
But I do want it to play out through the national championship, because if it does happen, I do want at least for a week to just embrace the fact that this one isn't tainted, that this one is actually won by the best team in the country. So I will almost protest that until the end of the playoff, and then I will agree. I will allow it at that point.
Well, listen to the mental gymnastics you're doing. You have to explain that. What if you just re-recorded what you just said right now? Hey, at least we don't have a fake tainted national title, you scumbags.
No. See, at this point, again, I want to lean into
Ohio
this
State.
through the rest of this college football playoff, and then by all means, you can have me do jumping jacks and cartwheels, whatever you want me to do for the Open. But until that game is over, I want that playing.
Them going back-to-back would be wild. Michigan, then Ohio State.
Oh, I thought you were trying to be what do you mean back-to-back? What are we doing here?
No, they can't.
See, I will say, because back, in the Cam Newton era, Auburn won the national championship, and Auburn for 15 minutes was dancing in the sun.
Yep.
And then Alabama repeated and went back and won that following year.
Business as usual.
I would love that to happen, where it really was I hope you enjoyed yourself for that 12-month period, because guess what? A new day is upon us once again.
Here's the thing, all right? I have to face the music in this one. We're going to be welcoming Jason Wilde onto the show in just a moment. It's Bears-Packers week. I am a Bears fan, and the last time this happened, the Carl Brooks fingertip field goal block at the end of the game, I was far away in Florida. I didn't have to come back on Monday. I wasn't here on Tuesday. I wasn't here on Wednesday. I believe I came back middle of the day Thursday. I did not have to face the music. It was the we're on to Cincinnati tactic. We are on to the next week. We're not talking about the Bears anymore. The difference, expectations are even lower, if that's possible, this time around. We will be talking with Jason Wilde. We will do Packers win if and Commanders lose if, or tie if, because if that scenario happens, the Packers jump up to the 6th seed. A prep tripleheader preview, all on Daily Dodge TV and 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam tonight, and our Friday weekend picks, and we have determined a punishment for each of us, something that I hate and something that you hate.
I know, and unfortunately it looks like it's trending my direction, and I'm just happy it's not bushcraft, so we'll get into that here towards the end of the show today.
We will pull the curtain back on that at the last segment of the show. But now Jason Wilde joins the show. You can hear him live on Wilde and Tausch, weekdays from 9 a.m. until noon on ESPN Wisconsin and Wisconsin On Demand. Jason, Happy New Year, first off.
Hook 'em horns.
Oh, what are you doing to me, Jason? This just feels like an attack. I congratulated you. I sent you a text when Oregon beat Ohio State.
Oh, that was probably passive-aggressive.
It was hard. No, it was not. Why would I do passive-aggressive?
What a great season.
Ohio State lost at that point. We didn't know if they'd ever play again. And here I am just minding my own business, frolicking through the flowers, so to speak. And, Jason, you had to just pour that douse of cold water on me to start?
Hook 'em horns.
Yeah, again, it doesn't bother me that the Ducks lost. I didn't go there. I'm not obsessed with them. It's more Oregon is a state of mind for us. But it would have been nice if the game would have been close.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry. I love doing this show. I mean, when you guys actually do it, you take more time off than Tauscher does. But
it's hard to do.
I have to reconsider if Ohio State wins the national title. We have to. Corey and I both, and Jack, and plenty of other people. Are we grasping how insufferable Wally will be?
I've given an invite to all of you. You are welcome to join the bandwagon, join the parade down Beaver Dam Boulevard, whatever you want to call it, right up here. We can do it together, Jason.
The Ohio's, all that, they're just, and I love Corey Lindsley. He's become a good buddy of mine now that I don't cover him. I have a great working relationship with Josh Myers. I appreciate, he trusted me to tell the story of his relationship with his father who passed away in July. I don't dislike people who attend Ohio State or people who root for Ohio State. It's when they win how absolutely insufferable they are that is a real struggle for me. Albert Breer, who I've known for 25 years, like, Albert, man, Bert, I can't do it. I'm sorry. Like, I'm going to have to mute you on social media. I just can't take it. So, good for you. I'm glad they won for your happiness because I want you to be happy. But goodness gracious, if they win 2 more, I mean, I can't be rooting harder for Texas, Penn State, and Notre Dame, just as long as it's not Ohio State that wins the title.
And, I'm going to forgive you when that day comes anyways, and you'll be able to join the parade with open arms.
I'm not looking for forgiveness. I don't care. Nope. I don't want to be forgiven. I am gonna proudly root against your favorite team, and if they win, I'll just stop coming on the show.
That's fair. And I love you anyways, Jason. That's fair.
I want to bring up one more thing before we go to Packers talk with you, Jason. What you probably haven't heard is the subtle little mentions from Wally when he does our afternoon sports centers. He reviewed that game from the college football playoff where they blew out Oregon. I said it correctly that time. And he goes, what'd you say?
The Ohio State and then freshman sensation Jeremiah Smith. He is. Those are facts.
You have great Sports Center updates. Those just had a little more sparkle in them.
Those were facts. I'm just a factual person. I like to stick in this universe. It's fine.
He's a really good player. There's no 2 ways about it. I don't even have a problem with them with Oregon losing. It was like, what was it, 31-0?
34, but who's counting?
Yeah, we were, because Sydney and I were looking forward to sitting and watching the game and eating pizza, and by then we're like, all right, should we stream something at this point? Like, it's not a game anymore. Yeah. So, congratulations to you, and congratulations on being back on the air after your long hiatus. Just when you guys were building all this momentum, and I was hearing great things, other people were approaching me, telling me how much they enjoy the show, how much that they think you guys do a great job, how they enjoy me being on the show twice a week. Just when I was hearing all that stuff, you guys went dark for what's it been, like a month? When's the last time I was on this show?
Yeah, we went on...
Well, it was right before Christmas. It's basically like the sequel to the movie. So, we just had to build up a little suspense for the new year.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm glad to be here to talk about how the Packers are going to be the 7th seed.
Amen.
Absolutely. Well, I do want to kind of flash back to a different Packers team, Jason. We've been hearing the 14-year patterns from 97 to 2011, what could happen in 2025. And we brought this question up yesterday. Curious what your answer is. If you could plug in one member of the 2010-2011 Packers team into this year's squad, who would have the greatest impact and why?
Ooh, that is a real... Who came up with that? Obviously not Wally.
Wow. I mean, you're not wrong.
You are correct in that. Oh, our bell doesn't work.
Okay, good. I had no idea. I just was giving you grief. And I'm going to continue for the next 8 to 10 minutes. I would say this. Given their pass rush struggles, and yes, Rashawn Gary is a Pro Bowler somehow, some way. But I would pick Clay Matthews.
Okay.
Not a big deal. I did pick that yesterday, so I appreciate that insight too, Jason. But
just because I agreed with you, you appreciate it?
Yeah, if you had gone a different way, I probably would have had to argue that you were wrong. But I do think Clay Matthews, even the one follow-up to that is we had been hearing from Charlie Dern. His point was even if Jordan Love is a very good quarterback, he would have taken Aaron Rodgers. I just didn't know if that small gap there, I felt like between that play would have been enough where if you do add a guy like Clay Matthews or like Corey said, Charles Woodson, I felt like that would have been a bigger help for this team that feels like those areas of need.
So a good point by Charlie, and there is I don't think it's a small gap. I think it's a larger gap. Mm-hmm. And this playoff run, however long it lasts, and it may just last to Philly and home, but this is an opportunity, I think, for Jordan Love to have kind of his next Aaron Rodgers-esque moment, right? I mean, he had an incredible moment in that Dallas game, and then he had kind of his Favre moment across his body late over the middle into triple coverage to end their season. Rodgers was magical during that. I mean, I know Jordan had a really good 8-game stretch last year. I know Rodgers had a really good 8-game stretch the year that he said in 2016 that they could run the table. But what Rodgers did down the stretch of the final 2 regular season games, and then Philly, and then Atlanta, that's the best I've ever seen a quarterback play.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was unbelievable. And then obviously he didn't play great. No one did in the NFC Championship game in the bitter cold. But he made the huge tackle on Brian Urlacher on the interception. He had a touchdown run of his own. So I think Charlie can totally defend his position, and he would be able to convince me. But I do think the gap, if we're talking about gaps, is larger in terms of having an elite pass rusher versus not. And that's also why I wouldn't pick Woodson. I mean, Woodson's my guy. But let's be honest, what we have seen from Xavier McKinney has been Woodson-esque. It's not to the same level, and it's been a while since he's had a pick. But he has been a field tilter for them, just the way Charles was for that 2010 team.
That's fair enough. I was thinking, do we drop him down to corner and have him replace Jair, and then maybe, as Wally had said before, Eric Stokes, who has been brutal to say the very least, doesn't play as much.
Better lately. Let's compare to Eric Stokes. Better lately. But not. Look, that's the biggest thing about this potential playoff run or playoff appearance is, you look at the wide receivers the Eagles have. You look at the wide receivers the Vikings have. You look at the wide receivers the Lions have. You look at the wide receivers the Rams have.
Mm-hmm.
Those are 4 pretty darn good either duos or trios. And we saw in the Vikings game, the Packers did a nice job of erasing, at least in the first half, Justin Jefferson, and instead the other guy goes off for a big game.
Yeah.
So it is really hard in the NFL to be good defensively, and they are going to have some challenges, whoever they end up facing, and however long they stay in the postseason.
Jason, this is the first time we're talking to you since Jair's injury was announced as season-ending. Point blank, is this it for him? Is he done as a Packer, reading the situation and how the last couple of weeks has developed? Is this it?
I think it is. I mean, look, and I don't say that with any joy. He's a really good player when he's healthy. I say that because Brian Gutekunst doesn't like old players and he doesn't like injured players.
Yeah.
Now, Jair is only going to be, I think he's going to be 28 on Super Bowl Sunday. So it's not like he's an old player, but he is an injured player. They played 68 regular season games as of Sunday. That'll be the 68th regular season game the Packers have played in 4 years since they expanded the schedule to 17 games.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll have played 34 games, and he'll have missed 34 games. And so that's obviously not a very good percentage.
We'll end with this, Jason, but I'm just a little curious about the injury process in general because I'm kind of clueless, like I feel like a lot of people are with some of this, where how much of the decision around players being injured is up to the team versus players with specific instances like this? Like, does Jair have more of a say? Because this sounded like kind of a relatively minor injury when it was announced, and here we are 2 months later, and it's over.
Yeah, they definitely have a say. Now, there is a process, and there are conversations about how you feel and what you're sensing, and also are you able to run at certain speeds, and are you able to do certain things? And he wasn't able to do those. But the biggest issue from what we understand is that every time he felt like he was making progress, he would get really bad swelling issues, and that's what led to the scope that he had on Tuesday. So, again, I think he tried to come back. I think the Packers, the way they handle it, and LaFleur's body language and frustration that you could see didn't really help much, frankly, in terms of how this was perceived. Sure. But I do think he's a guy that needs to be close to 100% to feel like he can be as effective as he needs to be, and he just never got there.
Yeah, it's a bummer. So Wally and I were talking about this yesterday, and that Jair will have missed 20 now in the last 2 years. I did not know he was literally 50% for the last 4 seasons. So it's kind of unfortunate. It's led to the point we're at now, where it's not too long ago. It feels like he played a handful of snaps against the Bears, and then that was it.
Yep. Well, Jason, we appreciate you as always. We'll be back, I promise, in this new year. You're going to get too much Wally down the stretch, and I won't let you disappear on me even when, and I say when, Ohio State wins a national title.
All right, guys. Take care. Be good.
Hey, thanks, Jason. You're the man.
Again, that is Jason Wilde. You can hear him live on Wilde and Tausch from 9 a.m. until noon, weekdays across ESPN Wisconsin. That's ESPN Madison, right here in Beaver Dam and Milwaukee, and Wisconsin on demand. I did not think you earned, I don't want to say you completely earned it because he listed off a variety of Ohio State fans, but I can't believe you earned an Ohio State hater for the next 2 weeks.
Well, here's the thing that gets me there, because he talks about how insufferable we are when we're winning. That is also just ignoring the fact we're insufferable when we lose. Like, what have I been? I've been moping and gloomy. I'm still upset about what happened in November, and I've been saying it
for the next 11 months.
And that's the thing. This is like, if we win the national title, that's awesome. I'm excited. I'll buy the shirt. Yip yip hooray! It was a tainted season.
Yeah.
I'm just rooting for everybody to be as miserable as I am.
That's the thing, is I'm like, you've got the subtle little punches, like when you do the sports centers and you mention freshman phenom and the Ohio
Sensation.
State
Not a big deal.
sensation. Sorry, still a pretty big compliment nonetheless. But I think I can still tell this is secondary to you. You're going to be very, very happy if they do what only one team can do every year. But you're still not going to be satisfied. There's a gap there.
No, I'll be thrilled that they win. I won't act like I won't even be happy, but it's like it will never be the same. It will never be what it could have been. I'm just happy to know that they're already feeling the heat. You're seeing it on Twitter. You're seeing it everywhere. They want to make this seem like it's this throwaway title for Ohio State now. That's all because they know that they're about to lose the one upper hand they've had.
Right.
And I can't wait for that.
There we go. This is the Damn Sports Show on 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam and Daily Dodge TV. A reminder, you can follow us on Facebook at ESPN Beaver Dam, Twitter at ESPN BD, or the show Twitter for daily polls and clips from this very show. That is going to be Damn Sports ESPN on X. You can also call into the show at 920-887-9595. When we come back, an expanded version of a segment we usually do on Fridays. It's not just Packers win if, it's also Commanders tie or lose if, because that's the exact scenario Green Bay needs if they want to jump up to the 6th seed and face this 3 seed in the upcoming bracket. Again, this is the Damn Sports Show on 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam and Daily Dodge TV.
More right now on the Dam Sports Show. Stay tuned to 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam.
Thank you very much to Jason Wilde, as always, for coming on. An Oregon fan. What did he say?
No, he's not an Oregon fan. He's in an Oregon state of mind, which I think that's a great place to be.
It's a beautiful place.
It is. I was going to say, they bright colors, love the uniforms.
Mm-hmm. I think there's mountains there.
Yeah, I was going to say, you got the Pacific Northwest, baby.
Hills, yeah.
Mount St. Helens is only right across the border in Washington. You're good to go.
Big Ten territory.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody talks about Big Ten.
Yeah.
Midwest,
California.
Pacific Northwest, very similar.
What's the difference? Yeah.
One and the same.
From Penn State to USC, we've got them all. Packers win if is the segment we usually do the last show day before a game. We're also going to do Commanders lose or tie if, because if the Packers win and the Commanders lose or tie, Green Bay jumps up from the 7th seed to the 6th seed. Almost didn't want to do this because it's kind of like the Saints game, right? This is a 10-point spread. A lot would have to go wrong.
I don't know. I just feel like a lot of it's going to depend, too, of how badly do the Packers want to win on Sunday. Mm-hmm. Not like to say that they want to win, but like, is it going to be hey, we're going to sprinkle in some backups,
right.
Like we're trying to stay healthy for next week, or is it let's take care of business and cross our fingers that the Commanders go to Dallas and just lay an egg?
I would not be shocked if we see Malik Willis at some point, even if the Packers are only up 10 or 13 at some point in the second half. Because A, Jordan Love has not been healthy all this year.
Sure.
B, they're going up against a team, possibly, if they have the 2 seed or the 7th seed and they're going against the 2 seed. That's a prime example of what can happen if you're not careful. Jalen Hurts is not going to be healthy.
Yeah.
And even if he is 100% healthy, which I doubt happens in that he's going to have a decent amount of time to rest, then there's going to be rust.
Yeah,
so we shall see.
We'll see that for sure. I mean, rust. The rest versus rust has been a age-old debate for 20 years. I'm not like a giant believer in it, but we'll talk about that later.
920-887-9595 is the number to call into the Dam Sports Show. You can also go on Daily Dodge TV on YouTube and go into the live chat, and we will interact with you there. But right now we do have a caller in. It is Tyler from Watertown. Tyler, how's it going?
How's it going, Corey and Wally?
Doing good. Well. How are you?
Hey, this is first time I can remember the Commanders ever making the postseason in quite a long time.
2020 is the last time, I think. So it's been a bit. And then before that, they hadn't made
RG3, right?
2015. Yep.
Oh, wow.
And a lot of people forget that they did win a Super Bowl back in the day.
Oh, yeah, back in the 80s. And my Raiders beat them in 1983. It would have been the year after they won that first one.
That must have been electric.
Yeah, it was electric. Yeah, I was there. You're great. You're so funny, dude.
But I don't know if you guys remember who the coach was in the 90s, though.
What was that? The coach in the 90s? I was going to say Joe Gibbs.
Yep, they call him the coach.
Too easy. I was going to say I'm a Denny Hamlin guy. Joe Gibbs Racing. Too easy.
There you go.
Oh, I can make you jealous.
Uh-oh.
I've got Kyle Busch's autograph.
Oh, see, there you go. All the Toyota guys. It's Toyota-thon here in our hearts every day.
So I hate to ask this, Corey, how do you think the Packers will do against your Bears?
I think they'll do what they've done 11 times this year, and they're going to win. I don't know what the score is going to be. Kind of depends on how long they want to keep the starters in there, because as much as this team wants to say they are focused on the Chicago Bears, which I do believe they are, you want to get out healthy, regardless of who they go up against, the Eagles, Bucks, or Rams. But they'll win.
It's going to be difficult, but let's win, and then hopefully the Commanders lose.
Here's my prediction, and yes, hopefully that does happen so they can jump up and maybe get a better matchup depending on how you look at it. I told Wally right before we started the show today, it's going to be, because Caleb Williams is 9 away from the sacks record, so if he gets sacked 9 times, that's more than anybody else in an expanded season. I told Wally the Bears are going to have a lead, not going to say what score because this is specific already. They're going to have a lead with a couple minutes to go. Caleb Williams is going to get strip sacked for the record, and someone's going to house it, B.J. Raji style, and that's how the Packers will win game number 12.
And then here's a question for you. How do you think the Badgers will do tonight against the Hawkeyes?
They're going to win. Tonight they're going to win.
First conference win.
Not a big deal. 6.5-point favorites. Got to trust Vegas here. I'm feeling that big win. Got to take down Fran McCarthy.
There we go.
I'm hoping. Let's hope the Badgers can end their conference losing streak.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll be rooting for it together, Tyler. As always, we appreciate the call. Go Badgers and go Packers.
Have fun and have a nice weekend, you two.
You too, Tyler. We appreciate it, man.
Oh, it's Friday.
I know, it's weird. That New Year's Day, it's like completely threw me through a loop this week.
It is literally Tuesday in my head. Yesterday was Monday.
See, I went going into New Year's where I was like, this is awesome having Christmas and New Year's Eve or New Year's Day on a Wednesday because it splits your week in half. We have 2 days before, we have 2 days after. But now that I'm here on Friday, I also feel like it has been like 2 weeks since we've actually had time off. So I'm not going to lie to you. I'm pretty excited to get home and put a crater into my couch, a Wall-E-sized crater. It's going to take on my exact shape this weekend.
A crater, perfect. All right, let's get back to this. Packers win if Commanders lose/tie. I would love a 6-seed clinching tie coming from the Commanders to catapult the Packers up one spot. Packers win if what?
The Packers win if they keep Caleb Williams uncomfortable. He's been uncomfortable all season. To what you were just talking on the phone with Tyler there about, he's been sacked 68 times this year.
Is that good?
Not great. It's one of those things you say out loud and it kind of feels fake because you're so used to
like there's no way.
Yeah, like the highest sacked guy is typically like in the high 40s, maybe low 50s.
Yep.
68 is insane, and it's just a recipe to ruin a quarterback because not only are you worried about the health, you're worried about establishing bad habits then because you are constantly under pressure, you are constantly trying to fix things. This is a team that hasn't scored 20 points in a game since Thanksgiving.
I didn't need to know that.
17, 12, 13, and 3 in the last 4 games since. Last game, they didn't have 200 yards, as you know.
I didn't need to know that either.
Less than 100 passing yards. Just take care of business if you're the Packers. I'm not saying you can't rest starters, but the guys that are out there, it's a 53-man roster. You're going to be playing guys that should be able to win this game. Go and get it done. At least make that Commanders team have to do their job and get a win to get that 6.
If we were to play the hypothetical game, and they're not going to do this, but I think if they march Malik Willis out there with some second-teamers, they still win it.
They might.
Decently well.
The way the Bears' offenses looked the last month, since they ironically fired Matt Eberflus, everybody was like, well, you know what? Maybe this offense is like getting it together.
Yeah, they're a deeper
It's a bad culture. Eberflus gone, things would be better. Somehow it's gotten worse. I mean, you can really, the last win, was it truly the game before the Washington Hail Mary for the Bears? Mm-hmm. It's been that long, and it's been, like we talk about it all the time. We have grown up rooting for 2 fan bases and 2 teams that create ways to lose. The Bears do that, and I'm very confident if the Packers show up and just don't turn the ball over, they just take care of business, there's not going to be enough there for Caleb Williams and the Bears to get it done.
Before I get to mine, it's so funny, right? Like anyone in the office who's in a group chat with me can vouch for this. The first 6 or 7 weeks of the season, I was kind of hostile because I'm like, oh, my team's in it. I'm not used to this. I don't know how to act. 10 losses later, I think I have been the most peaceful version of myself.
We've been neutered as fans. It's over.
Insane. Like I have no leg to stand on.
No, and that's the thing where, I tried to formulate in my head how the Packers lose this week, and it truly only comes down to if the Packers truly say we do not need to start starters, we want to be healthy going into Philadelphia next week. We heard on KBN right before we came on them talking about, hey, you know what, this Philadelphia team, they got a banged up quarterback right now.
Yep.
Maybe this is the time to go and take them on. I don't think that way. I want to avoid that offensive line. I want to avoid Saquon Barkley, those wide receivers. Solid defense led by Vic Fangio. I just do not need that in my life. Go win and come on, Cowboys. It's weird to say, but let's go Cowboys. We need a win.
That's interesting phrasing. Packers win if they don't look past this game. 10, 11, and 20. Those numbers, 10 losses in a row for the Bears, 11 wins in a row for the Packers in this rivalry. 20 losses on Sunday road games in a row for the Bears. There's a lot at stake here. Yep.
Oh.
The Packers care more about that middle one, 11 straight wins, to the point where I don't think they look past this game. Yeah, that's pretty wild. The last thing we need is for the Packers to somehow lose to the Bears and the Commanders to somehow lose to, or excuse me, the last thing we need is for the Packers to somehow lose this, and you go, doesn't matter anyway. The Commanders were going to win. And then they lose to the Cowboys. Take care of business. Maybe it happens. Maybe it doesn't. Don't just stutter your momentum. Because I'm telling you right now, I don't want to make the Michigan comparison, but you talk about things that would be looming in Packers fans and probably the organization's head going into the playoffs. Oh, we just lost to one of the sorriest teams in the NFL right now. And now we got to go to Philly. Jalen Hurts or not, we got to play one of the best players in the NFL in Saquon Barkley. Or you go the Baker route, somebody who's on track for 35 touchdowns this year. Or you go the Rams route. They're as healthy as they've been all year. Don't kill your mojo. You're in a very good spot right now to go 12-5. Commanders lose or tie if, and I'll hand it back off to you.
Cooper Rush plays clean and Micah Parsons has a day. And this is all contingent because you and I were looking before. Coincidentally, in Week 18 here, Micah Parsons is added as a late addition to the injury report.
Very late.
With a wrist injury. We'll see if that's one of those wink, wink, nudge, nudge, like, dude's not going to play in a meaningless game. Yep. For the record, I'm not shaming them for doing that, or Micah Parsons if that's the case. Frankly, if I'm a fan of the Cowboys, I don't want him playing and potentially getting hurt in a game that doesn't do any good for you to win. But I'm just a little skeptical at how real that report is. But if Micah Parsons is playing, he can be a game wrecker. He's one of the best defenders in the entire NFL. If he can go out, put one of those 2-sack games, maybe a strip sack, force a turnover, maybe we have something there, because you know what? This is a Commanders team. This is going to be new for them too. Yeah. They have to all of a sudden turn on that playoff brain this week, and we're going to see how they respond when the pressure is at a higher point than they've seen all year.
No, that's true. For the Bears and Packers game, you can't really make this claim, but for Cowboys Commanders, you could say the roles are kind of flipped. Usually the Commanders are not used to, they have one playoff appearance since the RG3 year, right? They're usually not used to playing for something this late in the season. Cowboys are usually like, oh, we've got the 3 seed locked up. We're fine. We got the 2 seed locked up. We're vouching for a bye right now. Mine's boring, but the Cowboys, if they control time of possession, I think that starts to put the pressure on a team that's not used to being in this spot. Oh, it's 7-7 in the third. We're one mistake away, as opposed to if the Commanders can get out in front 21-3, they're fine. They can control the ground game. I also think by controlling time of possession, this team should be running the ball a decent amount. Maybe this is me just from a fantasy perspective, but Rico Dowdle, I know, has had a quietly very productive year. Yeah. He just broke the 1,000-yard marker last week with a week to go. So in the original 16-game NFL season, he still would have done it. He's at 1,007. He's at 4.7 yards per carry. Had the ugly fumble, decent pass catcher. This team is just missing some stars. They're missing Dak. They've been very, very injured on the defensive end. I know Micah Parsons is back now, possibly. We'll see if he plays this kind of meaningless game for him. But the more the Cowboys make this a competitive game and put the pressure on a Commanders team that hasn't been here, the better.
I will say this, because I don't feel like the Cowboys often, at home at least, play games at noon. It's typically the 3 o'clock, 3:25 slate, and because they're trying to do the fair thing where nobody has a competitive advantage.
And can game watch, yeah.
Exactly. So they're going to be playing at the same time as the Packers are taking on the Bears. I'd be interested to see if that affects whether the Commanders or the Cowboys start fast, start slow, because I do think that's going to be one of those sneaky talking points nobody brings up now, but midday on Sunday, it's going to just start trickling out there that, wow, this is earlier than we thought, or like used to. This is just a little out of our norm, and then there's just going to be excuses out the wazoo.
The sun's going to be shining from a different angle in Jerry's world, too.
Exactly. Yeah. I was going to say, it's probably got like a magnifying glass on that window. It's probably going to burn the field.
No one inside the 20 is going to be able to see a ball coming across the middle of the field. All right, well, that is Packers win if, Commanders lose or tie if. When we come back, a prep sports triple header. Feels like deja vu. It's because it is. We've had a lot of these lately. It's very, very fast and active in the winter sports season. We'll go over Beaver Dam against Lodi wrestling, Beaver Dam girls basketball at Wanakee as the Golden Beavers look to stay undefeated in Badger large play, and Laconia at Markesan boys basketball tonight as well for some flyway action. This is the Dam Sports Show on 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam and Daily Dodge TV.
This is ESPN Beaver Dam.
Beaver Dam and Markesan tonight in a triple header prep preview. It's Beaver Dam against. That should not have been that funny, but I'll take it. Beaver Dam against
stupid.
Lodi Wrestling. New Year's same me, baby. Beaver Dam girls basketball at Wanakee, and Laconia at Markesan boys basketball. That one is non-conference play, as is Beaver Dam against Lodi. Kind of just want to give you a simple who, what, when, where, and why here in terms of where you can find these and a couple of details on the matchup. You're going to be there for wrestling, so I'll kind of let you kick us off here.
Yeah, absolutely. Beaver Dam's 2-1 on the year. Last time they were in action was prior to Christmas. They fell in a tight bout with Milton, 39-35. Kind of been the story this year. A lot of close competitive matchups with this team. The key is, too, with this new kind of like style. I was talking with Ryan Gerber the last time I did a call with him. In the new era of wrestling, it's so much more team-focused than it used to be. It was more just like get the individual accolades. Hopefully we string enough of those together. The team success finds itself as well. Now it's much more strategic, where guys are going to be wrestling out of their weight classes a little bit, sometimes almost to like forfeit one match to set up two better matchups later. So we're kind of seeing more of that here in this Beaver Dam early into season. I'm excited for this. Lodi is a fantastic wrestling program. We were talking with Wade about that earlier.
Yep.
So hopefully Beaver Dam able to get it done tonight, at least string together a couple of fun matches for us.
Oh, yeah, and that will be on Daily Dodge TV. The Beaver Dam girls basketball team is on the road at Wanakee. Beaver Dam is 4-0 in conference play in the Badger Large, the only team that can boast that, but not far behind them. The Wanakee Warriors are 3-1, tied with a couple of other teams. That would be Milton and Oregon. That's notable because Beaver Dam has handed both of those teams their only conference loss. Wanakee, kind of a last one. They could push them down a peg to 3-2. Too dominant so far. They've won every game they're supposed to and then some. If you want to make that argument for a team that only has one senior on their active roster. But I talked to Coach Jolka after the victory ahead of winter break for a lot of these athletes against Fort Atkinson. His head's in the right spot. I said, still undefeated in conference play. No one else can say that. He goes, it's kind of too early to even say that. Like 3-0, 4-0 in conference. Yeah, we're technically undefeated, but a lot of work to accomplish. He is laser focused on every matchup ahead of him, and that does not mean tonight's an exception at all. Natea Donaldson and Majolka, they're a dynamic duo on offense, and this team against Fort Atkinson started to find their offensive bearings. Always have been able to defend, but they're starting to find those secondary and just other options around to score when Natea ultimately gets doubled on some of these possessions.
Yeah, it's a four-horse race right now in the Badger Large. There are four teams that really have separated themselves, and at this point, Beaver Dam has beaten the teams that they've had to play, including Oregon, including Milton on that. Wanakee tonight, if you're able to get that win too, I think you really start cultivating a belief that this isn't just like a really good stretch of play, that this is a team that maybe is a year early. Maybe they are exceeding the expectations now, and this is when we start adjusting those expectations, because I think tonight is another great litmus test, because that Oregon game, I think Oregon was caught a little off guard, like we all were, at how dominant and how effective this offense has been for Beaver Dam. If they're able to catch a Wanakee team that knows what they're walking into and go and beat them on, I think it's on the road, you said, right, tonight? You want to make sure I'm not crazy. Go and beat them in their building, in their barn, then all of a sudden, Beaver Dam, let's go win a conference title, baby.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of made the New Year's resolution for Beaver Dam and said I think someone's winning a state title. There were a couple of programs last year that were a game away from getting to the state title or the state semifinal, depending on the sport. And then McKenna Nelson obviously won the individual honor in the girls golf category as a sophomore. Can't wait to see you golf up against her in a couple of months here once it's warmer out. Beaver Dam, I do want to say one more thing about the girls basketball program. I think they have a mini advantage. I mean, it kind of cut their Christmas break short, which maybe wasn't ideal for some of them. But a lot of teams are playing their first games today and into this weekend for the first time since like December 20th, December 21st. They played on the 28th, so it's not like this girls basketball team hasn't been together in live game action for 2.5 weeks. They were just together this last Saturday. It's a 6-day gap. It's really not that bad technically. I guess a 6-day gap. I think they have a great shot, just as they have pretty much throughout all of conference play. But as you said, it's no longer, we just shocked a team. Like, there's a target on their back now.
People know what Beaver Dam basketball is about, especially how they've been winning these other games. It doesn't feel like a fluke, where I feel like after the Oregon game, we were still kind of like, is that who
That
the
was fun.
team is?
Yep.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yep.
That was fun. Look how cool it was. That's Oregon's first loss in like a year and a half. Now it's different. The expectations are shifting.
Yeah.
They're evolving, and that's the beauty of winning games like this, is because pressure is a privilege in sports. If you're not having pressure on you, odds are you're not very good.
Yeah.
So I love the fact that this game does come with a little bit of extra punch, and I'm really excited to hopefully have time at the end of the wrestling to flip it over real quick and catch the end of that one.
Yeah, it's no longer can they pull this win off. The expectation is to go in there and execute. And two high-powered boys basketball teams going at it in Markesan later tonight. I'll be there with Aiden Voigt. Laconia at Markesan boys basketball. The Hornets are the home team in this one, and they are a perfect example of what happens when you bring back a ton of returners. Last year, they had one player on that roster with varsity experience. It was Austin Modrow. He returns as a first-team All-Trailways West team. Now they have 6 seniors. Now the majority of their roster has played varsity action in the past. This team was 6-18 last year. If head coach Skip Laper can get this team and will them to a win at home against a very good 5-1 Laconia team, Markesan on January 3rd will match their win total from last year and not even halfway home. So pretty cool.
It's very cool. And yeah, to your point, I mean, the Laconia is a very strong team too. This is a team that scores a lot of points. I was diving into their schedule a little bit earlier. Since their opener, they've scored 62 or more in every game, including 78 or more in their last 3 wins. So a team that knows how to score, knows how to attack the basket. It's going to be a big ask, but if they can get it done, you're talking about Markesan turning it around in football and basketball in the same year after a couple lackluster campaigns over the last couple anyways.
It felt like they were rebuilding really in a variety of facets, and one of the players leading the charge, he was the number 1 wide receiver on the football team, and he is the number 1 scorer on this basketball team with a little over 16 points per game. Scored 37 last year for a team that wasn't winning a whole lot. Austin Modrow, get to know that name. He's in his senior campaign, and it's off to a great start. So that is your Prep Sports preview. Laconia at Markesan boys basketball on Daily Dodge TV. Beaver Dam girls basketball at Wanakee on ESPN Beaver Dam. And then Beaver Dam against Lodi Wrestling, a very good wrestling program, on Daily Dodge TV as well. When we come back, our weekend picks, and we're leaving a little more time on this one. We're actually getting out to break at a decent time. So the last segment will be longer than a couple of minutes. Friday picks for the Bears at the Packers, the Commanders at the Cowboys, those two obviously impacting the playoff picture for Green Bay, and then Minnesota at Detroit, which also impacts the playoff picture for Green Bay just a little bit further down the road if they can pull off an upset in the wild card round. We're going to go through those 3 matchups. I'm currently 4 games up on Wally, and we have our punishments determined. We're going to etch them into stone next here on 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam and Daily Dodge TV.
1430 ESPN Beaver Dam.
Here's the dealio. We have weekend picks for Friday. We have been doing this since the start of this show, which was week 2 of the NFL season. The time has flown by. That's how I've been able to mark how long this show has been on the air. I just go back to
that's
week
actually
2.
really smart.
So
I
when
like
the football
that.
season's over, I'm screwed. I couldn't tell you the day right now. I could not tell you the first day, but I can tell you it was week 2.
September 16th, 2024. Locked and loaded.
Way to pass the test. I actually knew the day.
I bet you did.
28 and 16.
Stay
Eyesight
hot.
is bad.
Stay hot,
Maybe
man.
I should just put it in my notes. And 24 and 20 for you. So I'm 4 games up. We do 3 typically football picks going into the weekend. We've done everything from Packers games to college football when it runs a little light. And this series is running to the Super Bowl. So, and we'll have to figure out how we're doing that because we're doing 3 picks and Super Bowl's only going to be 1. Same with NFC and
Well, yeah, we'll pick 2 other games, whether it be college basketball, whether it be NFL or NHL big puck guy like yourself.
We'll do USFL or UFL, whatever it is now. Chicago at Green Bay, Washington at Dallas, Minnesota at Detroit. Those are the games, but first the stakes. Whoever loses this, hopefully it doesn't come down to a tiebreaker because I don't know what we're going to do then. Probably just pick more
We
games.
both have to lose. We both get punished.
Perfect.
Do you want to do that? Let's just do that.
Yep, we'll do that.
We all are losers because what they all say a tie's like kissing your sister. I don't want to have to kiss you, so instead we're gonna do a double loser.
I'm
We're
your
both
sister.
gonna be punished, maybe even extra harsh than what we wanted to before. We'll talk about it. We'll see.
Kissing each other was never on the table.
See the way you look.
What?
Yeah.
Jeez. We're going to just, all right. The loser, I'm so thrown off now.
You're rattled. That's all right. I'll even tell them what
Loser
you're
in
doing.
Picks. Yeah, so
That's what we should do. I'm going to say what you have
What
to
my
do if you
punishment
lose,
would be.
and then you set it up because I am trailing by 4 games.
Yep.
As Vegas would look at it right now, I'm a healthy underdog.
yeah, you're like plus 400.
I might be plus 500. I need to really run the table, and I keep making stupid picks, trying to counteract
Yeah, you keep
yours.
trying to fade me.
I try to fade you to try
ride
to
the
make
train
room, and
and
I'm
lose
just
with
getting
honor.
worse. I shouldn't. I can't lose with honor. I refuse to lose with honor. So instead, what we're going to do, in the event that I come back and I beat Corey, he's going to have to sit down with me, no phone, and he's going to watch movies for 12 hours. Because this guy has seen like 13 in his life, including Trolls, apparently, which I found out very shortly ago. So
watch
I'm going to
that.
be sitting down, not watching Trolls with him. We're going to be watching things like The Godfather, Godfather 2, things kind of like that. And it's going to be 12 hours that I just enjoy my life. I'm on top of the world, and I know you're not ready for it.
Okay, sounds good. And if I win, when I win, looking pretty likely at this point, our resident Vikings hater here, I'm not a huge Vikings hater, but I'm also not a huge Vikings fan. I'm kind of neutral on them. You absolutely despise this team, or at least you feel that they're fraudulent.
That's a better way to
Yeah,
describe it.
you thought the Packers were going to lose by a couple possessions, and it didn't happen. You owned up to it. Very big of you. And then you said there's no way this team even makes it to the Super Bowl, let alone they probably won't make it to the... You said you wouldn't be shocked if they bowed out to a lower seed in the NFC divisional round.
I would, yeah. I think they'll win a
Or wild card
garbage
round.
wild card round. I do think they'll win the wild card.
Okay.
But I do think that this team will not sniff the NFC title game, which is kind of what led to what your idea
Yep.
was here. I'll let you take it away.
So originally, it's going to be bowling. Originally, I said you have to get to 1,000 pins. You said you're not a great bowler, so I'm like, if we give him benefit of a doubt, let's say you can average 100. 10 games by yourself is probably 2.5, 3 hours.
And I'm terrible bowler.
Right, and you said 1,000's not enough. So let the record show that I wanted to make it easy on you. So, to kind of tie this into your hatred for the Vikings, and as we learned yesterday, Sam Darnold, we are going to make it 1 pin for every passing yard that Sam Darnold has. If you're curious, Sam Darnold has 4,153 passing yards right now. For the sake of making it a nice round number, let's say he throws for 350, 4,500 yards through the air.
Ain't nothing but a thing.
Okay, so if you go 100 a pop, let's keep fatigue, mental and physical, in mind here. That is 45 games of bowling by yourself.
I could not be less concerned about this.
That's going to be a nonstop Daily Dodge TV stream. We'll find a way to work that out. We'll have you spin a wheel. We're still kind of working out semantics.
Would love
when
ideas
this
from you
happens.
guys, by the way, too.
For when he loses, we got to make sure that this is good. But we want to do it in like mid-February, right after the Super Bowl. So pretty much right after the whole thing is over. It'll be quick and painless for you.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be quick and painless. We are talking about, like you said, we're having a wheel, and whether it be a punishment for the round, whether it be an advance for the round, we had some ideas
Take some
where...
pins off.
Yeah, like I get times 2 for one game, so if I score 100, it's actually 200,
Yep.
but then maybe I spin on the bad side, I have to bowl left-handed for an entire game,
Right.
stuff like that. So if you guys have ideas, we'd love to hear them, and I'm open to any kind of torture that you guys are out there.
I'm just doing the math, right? Like, we'll see what the perks end up being and how we can end up juicing your numbers or hurting them. But 100 pins a game, 45 games, if you can get 3 games an hour, that is 15 hours of bowling. Assuming you don't, like, eat or go to the bathroom.
I probably won't. I'm a machine.
Of course not. Okay. All right. That's going to be tough.
I can't wait for it, but I'm not going to have to worry about it because the comeback starts today.
Okay.
That's why I put that Rocky
we have
music
picks.
in the
Oh,
start.
my goodness. Okay. All right. Yeah. Bears at Packers. We'll see if you fade me here. I'm going Packers.
Packers as well. Easy enough.
Yeah, I think even if they play some backups, Malik Willis is in there. He's going to throw a strike. No Matt Flynn game, but he'll be up there.
Agreed.
Commanders at Cowboys.
This is where I start the fade. I'm going Cowboys. Get it done. Packers are the 6th seed.
The Fighting Mike McCarthy's are going to do it.
Watermelon game. Here we go.
Watermelon game. I'm going Commanders. Pretty chalky, but I think Jaden Daniels closes it out, and they close out the 6th seed. So you faded me there. A chance to make up one game. Vikings at Lions. Last I checked, the Vikings were 2.5-point favorites on the road.
And I'm going with the Lions because
Of course
the
you are.
Vikings are frauds. They don't get a bye. They're going on the road. They're starting early. Yeah, they might get a garbage wild card road win, but they're going nowhere else. The losing starts now.
No Aiden Hutchinson, early bye week, and no David Montgomery in this one. I'm going with the Vikings on the road. I have Vikings, I have Commanders, I have Packers, you have Packers, Cowboys, and Lions. All right.
I'm top of the world.
Fair enough. We'll see what happens. Homer Hour is coming up next. We will see you on Monday. Have a great weekend. This is the Damn Sports Show on 1430 ESPN and Daily Dodge TV.